Dr. Naresh is basically Professor of Electrical and Electronics Engineering and Dean Administration at Pragati Engineering College. And sir has done his BTech in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from SRKK Engineering College, affiliated to Andhra University in 2001. He has completed his Masters in Advanced Power Systems from JNTU College at Hyderabad, and he did his Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from JNTU University at Hyderabad. And he has also received JNTUK Best Teacher Award for the academic year 2012 and 13. He has more than 18 years of teaching experience, which includes 13 years of research experience. He has worked in different capacities as assistant professor, associate professor, and presently is a professor of electricals and electronics engineering and dean administration. His research interests include evolutionary computing techniques and their application to electrical engineering, power system operation and control, power system stability and energy management and conservation. He has presented more than 40 research papers in various international and national conferences. He is a reviewer for International Journal Computers and Electrical Engineering of Elsewhere Publishers, International Journal of Institution of Engineers India, Series B, and International Journal from Asian Institute of Technology. So he has many awards to his credit, and he's also a member of IEEE USA, ISTE, and IASC IT, and he has visited various countries around the globe. So with this brief intro, I welcome you, sir, for your talk. Yes, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Anupama, for your nice introduction. Thank you, madam. So first of all, I would like to thank IEEE CSIO chapter, student branch of Chandigarh, for giving me an opportunity to deliver a lecture on this genetic algorithm and its applications to electrical power systems. So, madam, is it audible? Is it okay, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
It is audible, sir. It is audible.
Yes.
Shall I continue?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. So, good evening to all the participants. So now I am going to give a small brief on the genetic algorithm and its applications to electrical power systems. So the outline of my presentation is like this. The contents of my presentation are now initially I'll introduce genetic algorithm. Then I'll discuss the basic structure of genetic algorithm. Then the various processes that are involved in genetic algorithm, like reproduction, crossover, and mutation operators. Then the implementation of genetic algorithm, design of multi-machine power systems. So the second part of our discussion will be on the application of genetic algorithm to electrical engineering, electrical power systems. So one example I'll take the design of multi-machine power system stabilizers that we will discuss, and we will discuss the results and discussion in that particular application. So at the end of this webinar, you'll be able to understand the basic structure of genetic algorithm, know various types of operators which are involved in this genetic algorithm like selection or reproduction, crossover, and mutation, compute fitness value and formulate objective function, apply genetic algorithm to electrical power system problems. So these are the outcomes that are being expected out of this particular webinar. So first I'll start the discussion with what is genetic algorithm. So genetic algorithm is a heuristic search algorithm that mimics the process of natural evolution. So here, basically heuristic algorithm means learn something for themselves. So whatever you learn for yourselves, that is what the word heuristic means. So GAs are a subset of evolutionary computation. So basically they talks about how evolution takes place. Evolutionary algorithms, they basically a larger part, so which include several generations. So this some generation of species are there. So this genetic algorithm, it is one of the method of these evolutionary computations. It is frequently used to find optimal or near optimal solutions to different difficult problems. So various type of problems where you need to find the optimal solution, so you can make use of this genetic algorithm. So I'll start this discussion with the theory of evolution theory of evolution states that all the human beings, all the organisms, they are having a common ancestor. So the common ancestor, so it has some features, and those common ancestor, it is producing the new offsprings that takes place over a period of time. So it also states that this has occurred largely due to environmental conditions that have led to a necessity for organisms to change and adapt or go extinct. So over a period of time, this change will take place. So all these things, the generation of new offsprings that taking place will be from a common ancestor. That is what the theory of evolution is. So the father of this theory of natural evolution is Charles Darwin. So before going to discuss about this genetic algorithm, I'll discuss the theory that is proposed by Charles Darwin. So basically, Charles Darwin is his best job is to collect biological or geological specimens. So in 1831, when he moved from England to other countries across the coast of Atlantic, from eastern to western America, so he went to one island by name Galapagos. In Galapagos Island, even he had written this book, The Origin of Nature or the Origin of Species, in 1859. In that particular book published in Origin of Species, so he mentioned that whatever learnings he had on this selection by nature, because this Origin of Species is purely based on the selection by nature. Those are the learnings during his stay at Galapagos Island in 1831. So there, various species, they are nowadays they are in existence only because of the because they are deriving or they are getting certain traits which are inheritable traits from their previous generations. So heritable traits are passed from one generation to another generation. So that is what this theory of evolution says. So whatever species they are nowadays, they are still existent. So that is only due to survival of the fittest. The basic single point is that survival of the fittest. So those species which are nowadays they are existent, so only because they could able to survive to the operating conditions. Those species which could not able to exist nowadays, because nowadays you can understand some crores of species are there, out of which some dinosaurs they are not available, they are not nowadays, they are not in existence. The reason is they could not able to survive to the changing operating conditions. So due to that, this they could not able to survive. So Darwin's theory of evolution that basically says that survival of the fittest is the mantra. The principle of natural selection. So this is based on select the best and discard the rest. So whatever features our parents or our ancestors they have, some good features they will be propagated to the next generation of offsprings. So that is based on the selection, select the best and discard the rest principle. So even in the evolution of human being also, certain features what we have, they are obtained through this particular process of natural selection. So naturally, those features will be coming from our parents. So this is what the basic principle of genetic algorithm. So the best example for this natural selection is giraffes. So this giraffe, so they have a long neck. So and that long neck, which is not there to their ancestors or to their parents, but gradually over the generations, these giraffes they are having a long neck to get the grass, get the food for their survival. Those species which they could not able to survive or they could not able to get to these changing environmental conditions or critical conditions, that those species they cannot continue and they cannot send their copies to the next generation. So giraffes, due to their long neck, they could able to get the food. So even you can see one giraffe, it is taking some grass from the a tree. So like that, so they could able to survive only due to their long neck. So this is over a period of time, this change has come through is natural selection. So genetic algorithm, so this is one of the algorithm that is developed by John Holland with his students. In genetic algorithm, we have a population of possible solutions. So initially we have a solution, we have a possible set of solutions, and these solutions, they undergo recombination and mutation like in natural genetics, producing new children, and the process is repeated over and over for various number of generations. So this is what the genetic algorithm is. So each individual will have a fitness value, so based on its objective function. So those which are having, so which are to be sent for mutation, those which are to be sent for mating. Mating is the process by which they can produce their children. So higher chance for mating will be there for the individuals which are having better fitness value. So this is in line with the Darwin theory of survival of the fittest. So survival of the fittest, in other words, select the best, discard the rest. So you need to select those species with best fitness value. So in this way, we keep evolving better individuals or solutions over generations till we reach a stopping criterion. So we will see even what will be the stopping criterion and what is the process involved in this genetic algorithm. So advantages of genetic algorithm, when it comes to the advantages, so it doesn't require any derivative solutions. So if you look at any nonlinear problem, so that nonlinear problem, it requires derivatives, but derivatives of several parameters. So this genetic algorithm, it doesn't require any derivative information. It is faster and more efficient as compared to other methods. So it is very fast compared to the existing methods which are in use. It optimizes both continuous and discrete functions. So it can be applied to both continuous as well as discrete functions. And it also variably used in multi-objective problems. So the other varieties, the improvisations to genetic algorithm, you can see even NSGA3 is there. So non-sorted genetic algorithm. So then now NSGA4 is also available. So that is NSGA3 is widely used for multi-objective problems. So it provides a list of good solutions, not just a single solution. So some probability based on the probability of the fitness value what those springs are having. So we can select a group of solutions. It is useful when the search space is very large and there are large number of parameters are involved. So it is very useful when large number of parameters are there. This genetic algorithm is a widely one used algorithm. So where problems are especially simple, so genetic algorithm is not suitable. So fitness value is calculated repeatedly and computationally expensive. So that is another limitation. So being stochastic, there are no guarantee on the optimally or on the quality of the solution. So it is basically a stochastic algorithm, and then if it is not implemented properly, GA may converge to the optimal solution. So this is another drawback of genetic algorithm. So this is to be implemented with care. The next thing is that the basic terminology of GA. So when it comes to the terminology of GA, so here we have population. So population is initially whatever number of species, whatever number of springs we are taking, that is what we called as population. So all possible solutions to a given problem is what is population. Chromosomes. So chromosome is one such subset, and a gene is one element of that position of a chromosome. And then LLA, it is the value of gene takes place for a particular chromosome. We will see all those things one by one. So then the basic terminology of GA. So if you look into this diagram, you can understand. So this is one particular chromosome. So at a set of chromosomes, they constitute a population, and this has it is, so here it is a string, so it is consisting of a gene, and the value of that gene is LLE. So this is the basic terminology of genetic algorithm. So genotype is the population in the computations. So here we have phenotype and genotype. Genotype is the population, and in the actual real space, whatever solution, whatever population we have, that is what we are calling it as the phenotype. So this is what the basic terminology of genetic algorithm is. So the decoding, when it comes to decoding, so basically you need to convert this genotype to the phenotype, that is being done by this decoding. Then the encoding is the process of again reversal of decoding. So that is from phenotype to genotype, whatever conversion we make, that is what the encoding is. So then the fitness function. So the fitness function in sometimes the objective function may be the same, while in others it may be different based on the problem. So whatever problem we are taking, in general the fitness function and objective function are the same. So in rare cases, so there may be a slight difference between the fitness function and the objective function. So then the genetic operators, there are three basic genetic operators are there. They are crossover, mutation, and selection. So here, when you look at the basic terminology here, so all these things we will discuss using a single example also. So here, so we will go with the next thing, that is the basic structure. Starting with the initial population. So here, the step-by-step procedure to formulate a problem for genetic algorithm is, we should start with an initial population, then select parents from this population for mating. So whatever parents we have to take for producing the next generations, so we need to select those parents. So this is much similar to the situations what we see in real world. So here, even in society also, you can understand how the marriages will happen. So to a particular religion people, or to a particular caste people, or in the people of a particular region, so they'll get married and they'll produce their next generations. They have their children. So whatever parents which are to be subjected for mating, so they should have the better fitness value. Just like based on financial status, the marriages will happen based on the families of both the bride and bridegroom. So like that. So here, the select the parents from the population for mating. That is the first thing. On what basis we will select that those parents? That is based on their fitness values. Then you apply crossover. So the third and fourth ones, they are very, very important here. The children, they are having certain features which are coming from their parents. So, for example, if a child, if you look at a particular child, if he may have a long nose or big ears, so their parents or their grandparents, they may have such kind of features. So those features again resembling in the children. So this feature we can incorporate by using this crossover. And the another thing is mutation operator. Mutation is very important operation. So as we had seen giraffe, the parents of the giraffe, some of the giraffes, they may not have that particular long neck, but this mutation, it is responsible for the long neck in giraffe. So like that, even in some species, so this some features which are not there in their parents. So maybe sometimes the parents are very bright, but the children, the one of the child may be, so that he or she may not be that much fair. So like that, you can see there are some of the changes, because even I belong to teaching community, teaching fraternity. So can you expect the children of a particular a teacher whose parents are teachers, a thief? So But there is a possibility that 0.15, 0.1% or 0.05%, there is a probability. So that feature we can incorporate using this mutation operator. So then finally these offsprings replace the existing individuals, and again this process will be repeated over and over through some number of generations. So that is what the basic structure of genetic algorithm. So it has the first one is selection, crossover, and mutation. These are the three basic operators. So when it comes to the representation, so this representation, so one of the most important decisions to make while implementing GA is deciding the representation. So it has been observed that improper representation can lead to poor performance of GA. So it is very important that it should be properly represented. The various types of representations are binary representation, real valued representation, integer representation, permutation representation. So among them, the binary representation is widely used one. So you can see binary representation here, one of the simplest and most widely used representation. So as you know here, these offsprings will have some genes, and those LLA, so they are between either 0 or 1. So Boolean decision variables. So 0 or 1. So you can see the spring that is being formulated in binary representation. Then the real valued representation, for where we want to define the genes using continuous rather than discrete variables. So just now, my friend Dr. Ramarao Garu, he had given you some insights on fuzzy logic. Here, a solution is always made at either 0 or 1. So we have a vague information. So what kind of person Dr. Ramarao Garu is, or her ex is. So like that, if a question comes, he's a very good person, or he's a good person, or he's a bad person. So like that, there is a variety of solutions, variety of possibilities. So a continuous solution if you want, so you can use this real valued representation. So the precision of these real valued point numbers is between 0 and 1, so 0.5, 0.2, 0.6, like that you can see. The next one is integer representation. So the discrete valued genes, we cannot always limit them to either 0 or 1. So sometimes there may be some number of possible solutions may be there. So for example, if you want to encode the 4 sides, what we have, so north, south, east, and west, we can encode them as 0, 1, 2, 3, and you can use those things in the representation. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can represent like that, or 0, 1, 2, 3. Then permutation representation. In many problems, solution is represented by order of elements. So a traveling salesman problem, as you know, so most of the students, they may know the traveling salesman problem. So here, from 0, he has to start and he has to go to the end. That is what 9 is. So a classic example, so you can place like this in permutation representation. The next possible one is, so the different features of this permutation representation, they are also mentioned here. So population size should not be kept very large for this. So like that, certain constraints in permutation representation we mentioned here. And the population initialization. So here there are two primary methods to initialize population in GA. So random initialization and heuristic initialization. So in random initialization population is totally random solutions, whereas when heuristic initialization is there, so populate the initial population using a known heuristic. So that is what heuristic one. So fitness function calculation. So fitness function must be quantitatively measured, and how fit it is to give solutions. So how fit individuals can be produced for a given solution, that is what this fitness function is. So calculation of fitness function is to be fitness values to be done repeatedly in GA. So slow computation of fitness value can adversely affect the GA. So that is one of the thing what you need to look into when you are framing the fitness value, when you are calculating the fitness value using the objective function. So how we need to select the parents which are to be sent for mutation. So here parent selection is the process of selecting parents which mate and recombine to create offsprings for next generation. There are 4 basic types of selection of parents. Fitness proportionate selection. So based on the fitness values of the parents, we can select. So there are 2 methods in that based on the fitness. One is Rowlett-Wilk selection, which is very widely used selection, and one is stochastic universal sampling. And the second selection is tournament selection. Third selection is rank selection, and final one is the random selection. We will see one by one selections. So here, fitness proportionate selection is one of the most popular ways of parent selection. Every individual can become a parent with a probability which is proportional to its fitness value. So next we will see the Rowlett-Wilk selection. There we can find this statement meaning. So a wheel will be there. So here you can see in Rowlett-Wilk selection, a Rowlett-Wilk is there. So the circumference of wheel, if you observe, so it is divided into some n number of pies. If blue color pie, light blue color pie, so it has more circumference, so it has more probability when you air this. If you rotate this wheel, the probability that it will stop at this fixed point, that will be more for that pie which is having more circumference. So that feature we can incorporate here in fitness proportionate selection using the parent with maximum fitness value. So therefore, better individuals have a higher chance of mating and propagating their features to the next generation. So always this already I discussed. Also, I told you about this. Also, rich people, rich boy and rich girl will get married and they'll become rich. Their son will be very rich. If a poor boy and poor girl, they get married. If they have another child, he may be poor. So like that. So the features which are being propagated to the next generations, they are basically based on the fitness values. The 2 implementation of fitness proportionate selection are this Rowlett-Wilk and SVS, stochastic universal sampling. So in Rowlett-Wilk, as I told you, the circular wheel, so which is being subjected to rotation. So we have only one fixed point, and this wheel will be rotated, and the probability that wheel will stop at that fixed point, so that path we will take. So it is basically divided into some chromosome A, B, C, D, and some 6 colors we have divided based on the fitness value we had given the circumference. So that's the probable region of the wheel which comes in front of the fixed point is chosen as the parent. The second parent is also taken in the same lines. Again, we will repeat the rotation of the wheel. So this is what Rowlett-Wilk selection. This is a widely used method for selection. It is clear that the better individuals have a greater, which is having a greater pie on the wheel, that has a greater chance for landing in front of the fixed point. This is what I discussed just now. So they have the parents with better fitness value, they have the better chances for sending producing their offsprings or their children. The second method is the stochastic universal sampling. Here it is similar to Rowlett-Wilk. However, instead of having just one fixed point in Rowlett-Wilk, here we have multiple fixed points. So the advantage is that in a single rotation, in a single spin of the wheel, we can get the solution. We can get the parents. Therefore, all parents are chosen in just one spin of the wheel. That is the advantage of stochastic universal sampling. The next thing is tournament selection. So this is another selection, another method by means of which people widely use this selection. So here this is tournament selection. So if you take a K-way tournament selection, we take K individuals from the population at random and select the best out of these to become a parent. Same process is repeated for selecting the next parent also. So here if you observe, so we are taking 3 chromosomes A, E, T. So select chromosomes at random. So since it is a K-way, so here it is a 3-way tournament selection. So out of these 3, we will pick the best as a parent that is having the best fitness value. So initially we will pick the chromosomes, and then we will pick the one that is having best fitness value. So the next method is rank selection. The rank selection also works with negative fitness values. This is the main advantage of rank fitness, and it is mostly used when the individuals in the population have close fitness values. That means almost in that pie, if all are having almost same circumference, so in that case, rank selection may be a better choice. This leads to each individual having an almost equal share of pie, as I told you. This in turn leads to a loss in selection pressure towards fitness individuals, making the GA to make poor parent selections in such situations. So here, this rank selection is purely based on a random one, so it may not have a good selection pressure. So that is why it may not be used widely. So in this, we remove the concept of fitness value by selecting the parent. However, every individual in the population is ranked according to their fitness values. The selection of the parents is depending on the rank. Higher rank individuals are preferred more than lower rank. So this is what the rank selection. If you observe, the fitness values are more or less all are same: 8.18, 8.05, 7.95, 8.02, 7.99. Almost fitness values are more or less. So here, based on their fitness value, we will give rank and we will select those things which are having better fitness value for as parents. So the next one is random selection. So in this strategy, we randomly select the parents. There is no selection procedure. So this is a random selection. So here, the next one is the crossover. The crossover operator is analogous to reproduction and biological crossover. So as I told you, so here, the certain features what these children have, they are coming from their parents. So how we can imbibe or how we can get those features we can send those features to the next generation is by this particular process of crossover. So crossover is usually applied in GA with high probability. The probability for crossover is about 0.80% or 90%, because most of by looking at these children, you can say whose son he or daughter he or she is. So like that, based on the features what these people have, you can identify those offsprings. So like that, here the crossover operator is having a higher probability so that we can get more features from their parents. It is to be noted that these crossover operators are very generic, and GA designer might choose to implement a problem-specific crossover operator as well. So based on the problem also, sometimes you need to choose the value of the probability of crossover. Then the types of crossover are one-point crossover, multi-point crossover, uniform crossover, whole arithmetic recombination. I'll just go through the slides so you can understand one-point crossover. So here you can see even I represented the strings also in different colors. So the first one is in green. So in single point crossover, the point after 5 points, I'm taking a crossover. So the two parents are swapped, the tails of the two parents are swapped to get the new offspring. So here we are having 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then from the second string, you can take 3, 5, 7, 5, 8. And the second string, if you look at 5, 8, 9, 4, 2, and from first string, you need to take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the new offsprings what we get in one-point crossover. So the next one is multi-point crossover. In multi-point crossover, a random crossover point is selected, and here you can observe wherein alternating segments are swapped to get new offsprings. So here the color combination also you can understand. From the initial first spring 0, 1, 2 is taken, from the second one 4, 2, 3 is taken, and from the third one 6, 7, 8, 9 is taken. So here this 3, 4, 5 from first string is swapped to the second string, and from 4 to 3 are swapped to 3, 4, 5. So that you can observe in multi-point crossover. The third one is the uniform crossover. In uniform crossover, we don't divide the chromosomes into segments, rather we treat each gene separately. So here, if you observe this particular one, we can also bias the coin to one parent to have more generic material in the child from that parent. So between 0 and 1, we will toss and we will select which is to be taken. So first 5 is taken. So 5 is coming to the offspring 1. Then new offspring 1 and 0 is going to the new offspring 2. So then 1 we are not changing the second bit. Third bit we are interchanging. Fourth bit we are not changing. So like that, each bit alternatively they'll be interchanged in this uniform crossover. So this is what the uniform crossover is. Another one is whole arithmetic recombination. So here you can see if alpha is equal to 0.5, child 1 and child 2. So based on a particular formula, we will do this. And here 0.1 and 0.2. So the average is 0.15. So 0.15 is given to both. Then if you take the second bit 0.1, 0.3, average is 0.2, 0.2 is given to both. Then 0.2, 0.2, no change, 0.2, 0.2, no change, 0.3, 0.3, no change. Then next 0.3, 0.2. So we will have 0.5 each. So like that, these children, they'll be done based on the arithmetic recombination. So then the third important one is the mutation. As I told you earlier, this mutation is another important operator which brings a new feature in the children. Already in giraffe case, we had seen, although their parents, they may not have long neck, these giraffes, they could be able to survive or they could be able to send their copies to the next generation. Today even they are in existence only because of that long neck. That long neck feature we can incorporate in this GA using this mutation. So here it is usually applied with low probability because, as I told you earlier, the probability of having features which are neither in parents nor in children, they are very poor. If the probability is very high, GA will become a random search. So there is no difference between random selection and this. So definitely mutation probability may be either 0.05 or 0.1 only. Mutation is also a part of GA which is related to exploration of set space. So you need to explore every part of the set space. So it has been observed that mutation is essentially to the convergence of GA while crossover is not. Okay. So this is next a bit flip mutation. So we will select randomly 1 or 2 bits in that string. So if you look at this particular binary string, so here that the string we marked in yellow, we had performed a mutation, bit flip mutation. So 1 has become 0. So this is the new string what we are getting. The next one is random setting, resetting. So genetic random resetting is an extension of bit flip for the integer representation. In this random value from the set of permissible values is assigned to that bit what we have to change, a random 0 to 9 if you have. So that 6 or 7 that may be replaced 1 or 2 like it. Swap mutation. So you may swap 2 bits in the place of 2 6 and in the place of 6 2. That is what swap mutation is. The next one is scramble mutation. Scramble mutation is also popular with permutation representations. So in this form, from the entire chromosome a subset genesis chosen and their values are scrambled or shuffled randomly. This randomly, the yellow, the bits that are marked in yellow, they are randomly changed. The next one is inversion mutation. So in inversion mutation, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they are inverted 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So that is what inversion mutation. Survivor selection is another one. Survivor selection policy determines which individuals are to be kicked out. So and to be kept in the next generation. So here, as I told you, these things with less fitness value, they cannot be sent to, they are not fit for sending their copies to the next generation. Here, they basically the thing that is determining the capability of the parents to send their copies to the next generation is fitness value. If they are not fit, they cannot send their copies to the next generation. It is crucial as it ensures that the better individuals are not kicked out of the population, while at the same time diversity should be maintained. So the things with best fitness value, they should not be eliminated. So this is what we take the point that is what we call as elitism. In elitism, so some GS employ elitism. Elitism means the strings with best fitness values, they will be propagated to the next generation directly. So without performing crossover or mutation operations on that particular string, even we can directly send some of the copies to the next generation. That is what this elitism is. Therefore, under no circumstances the fittest member of the current population be replaced. So that is what elitism is. The next one is survivor selection. It is based on age-based or fitness-based selection. So if you look at this age-based selection, you can understand. So here we don't have a notion of fitness because here the fitness values they don't have any meaning. So here each individual is allowed to reproduce in the population for a finite generation. After that, it is kicked out of the population, no matter how good its fitness is. So here, if you look at the chromosome P4, so P4 with fitness value 8 and P7 with fitness value 2, they are replaced with C1 and C2 with some fitness values 8 and 9. So you can see that so after some age, some time, so automatically they'll be kicked out of from sending the new copies. So then the fitness-based selection, in this fitness-based selection, the children tend to replace the least fit individuals in the population, whatever fitness values. So here, the chromosomes, P1 has a fitness value 1 only, and P10 is having a fitness value of 0. Even P9 is also having 1, but they selected P1 and P10 so because they want to replace the chromosomes with least fitness value with another new chromosomes. So that is what the fitness-based selection is. So finally, the termination condition of genetic algorithm is very important in determining where GA has to be end. It has been observed that initially GA progresses very fast, but better solutions are coming in every few iterations. It tends to saturate, and at later stages where the improvement is very small. So if you look at that curve, which is representing how much best solutions leading from the previous one. So definitely you can understand where we need to stop. So we usually want the termination conditions such that our solution is close to the optimal at the end of the run. So usually we take these three following termination conditions when there has no improvement from the previous X number of iterations. When we reach an absolute number of generations, some fixed number of generations, we will run the code. Then when the objective function value has reached a certain predefined value. So we will take this with a small example. Just I'll take for another 2-3 minutes by spending some to give some insight onto this genetic algorithm. So the first one is generate initial population. So I had taken each of 5-bit one. So if it is 5-bit initial strings are there, so the minimum and maximum values of these strings are between 0 to 31. 2 to the power of 5 is 31. So 0 to 31 is minimum and maximum values of these strings. So randomly I am selecting, I am taking the initial population. The first string is 01101, whose real value is 13. 11000 is 24 real value. 01000 has a real value 8 and 10011 has a real value 19. So the fitness values initially you decode those. Excuse me. Are you audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Oh, okay, thank you, madam. So then we will evaluate the fitness value. So here, basically this problem is on maximization of f of x, which is equal to x square in the interval 0 to 5. So here we are evaluating the fitness value. So 13 square is 169. Similarly, 24 square is 567, 576. 8 square is 64. 19 square is 361. So we are getting the fitness values and select the parents. 2 parents we need to select based on their fitness values. So based on the probability PA is the probability of string, and that probability is evaluated based on the fitness value of that string by total fitness values of all the strings. So that we will see in the next one. So here in this string, I had taken the initial 4 strings what we had seen in the earlier. So here 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 13, 24, 8, 19. So 13, 84, 8, 19, I had taken the fitness values. F of x equal to x square I had taken. Sum is 1170. Average is 293 and maximum string is fitness value is 576. Then probability is 169 by 1170 is that is 0.14. 576 by 1170 is 0.49. 64 by 1170 is 0.06, 361 by 1170 is 0.31. So the string with least fitness value is 01000, string number 3. So here the expected count will be calculated, and expected count is nothing but number of strings multiplied by this CA. 0.14 taken initial population of 4 strings, 0.14 into 4 is 0.56. 0.49 into 4 is 1.97. Then 0.06 into 4 is 1.22. 0.31 into 4 is 0.1.23. So here what we are taking is the expected count of string 2, the fitness value as well as the expected count of string 2 is much higher compared to the other ones. So 11000 is the string with best fitness value. So in the next table, in crossover operation, when you look at, I am taking the first string as it is. I am taking the second string as it is because that is the string with highest fitness value. I am eliminating the third string which is having the least fitness value of 0.06. So 01000 is replaced with the earlier string which is having the best fitness value, which is 11000, and the fourth string also I am taking as it is. So now I am performing crossover operation on these strings. So just you look at the crossover point is 4 for the first 2 strings, and the crossover point is 2 for the next 2 strings. So 0110, and the from second string I'll take 0, that is off string after crossover. Then for the second string 11001. So like that we are evaluating the real value and fitness. So now this fitness value has increased to 1754, and you can observe the earlier fitness value sum is only 1170. So then we will perform mutation operation. So randomly we will select these strings. So if you take the previous one 01101, so that string we are taking, and here that 1 is 0, it is mutated to 1. Now the x value of that has increased to 26. Like that I am performing on string 4 another mutation on bit 3. So that is x value is 18. Fitness value now it has enhanced, sum is to 2354 against the earlier cases of 1170 and 1754 respectively. So like that we can improve the fitness value of the strings, and thereby we are incorporating the features in the next generations. So just I'll take another 4-5 minutes. So because we need to discuss even application of genetic algorithm to electrical power systems. Well, I am taking one system which is Unimion 10 machine 39 bus system. So here we have 10 generators and 39 buses. So on this and these 10 machines, we are having 10 generators, and each generator is having an excitation system. So in the excitation system of the generator, we have a power system stabilizer. So how to design these power system stabilizers which are in the excitation systems of the generators, that is our problem. So here low frequency oscillations are observed in large power systems. Basically the power system stabilizers, their basic function is to damp out the electromechanical oscillations being provided by the excitation systems. High gain excitation systems, as you know, the excitation system basically automatic AVR, automatic voltage regulators, nowadays they are coming into picture. Whenever terminal voltage falls beyond a particular value, automatically it will detect and it will sense it, and it will send a signal to enhance the excitation, so that the terminal voltage will be maintained constant at all load conditions. So if you are increasing the gain, it will contribute to low frequency, low power oscillations. So to mitigate those these small signal stability, to mitigate those load frequency oscillations, we'll use these power system stabilizers. So this is the power system stabilizer. So it is an auxiliary controller which is in the excitation system of the generator. So this the structure of generator, this is PSS is here. Gain, washout, and phase compensation, these are the 3 components in this power system stabilizer. So if you take this PSS structure, we have gain is 1, washout is time constant is TW, phase compensation is T1, T2, T3, T4. So here generally washout is taken at a fixed value. So the parameters which are to be optimized are K and T1, T2, T3, T4. Even sometimes you may take T1 equal to T3 and T2 equal to T4. So to decrease the number of parameters which are to be optimized. So if you take T1 equal to T2 and T3 equal to T4, we have phase compensation 1 plus ST1 square by 1 plus ST2 square. So definitely you need to have 3 parameters for every PSS. If you take 10 machine, 39 bus system, at 10 machines, we need to have 10 PSS. For 10 PSS, we need to optimize 30 parameters. Then the objective function is generally, so here no pole should be on the left half, on the right half of S-plane. So to be on safe side, it should be -1 or -2. On the left side, there should not be any no pole. So like that. So the objective function, this type of objective function, that J, that is what we call as a D-shaped objective function or a wedge-shaped objective function. So tuning of PSS can be done using genetic algorithm. The bound parameters of PSS. So there in the example what we have taken between 0 and 5. So like this here, the bound parameters of PSS are 0.01 to 50, and K values are between 0.01 to 1 for T2 and T3. So using even simulated annealing, I did it, and using genetic algorithm, I did it, and using a hybrid genetic and simulated annealing, we did it. The values what we got after running this genetic algorithm for these PSS, and even I used thyristor controlled series capacitor also. So the parameters what we got are like that. So if you look at the eigenvalue analysis, you can observe the eigenvalue that is having the least, which is a critical eigenvalue having -0.2332. So all the eigenvalues are in the left half of S-plane. The minimum one is 0.2332, whereas in GA it is -0.3535, and here in hybrid GA SK it is -0.4308. Similarly, -0.23, -0.38, -0.46 for the second case. The next one is nonlinear time domain simulations. So for different operating conditions, when different faults are occurring in the system, you need to how these controllers, these PSS, they are acting and they are mitigating the oscillations, low frequency oscillations that you need to look at. At generator G3 and G4, if you look at SAPSS that is having a peak of about 4.3 into 10 power -3. When it comes to GA, it is only initial peak is about only 4 into 10 power -3. And the oscillations are also damped out very fastly using genetic algorithm based power system stabilizer and TCS. So for another one at generator 5, so we are looking at how fastly you can see these power oscillations can be mitigated using this genetic algorithm based PSS and TCS. So like that, so for various the applications of electrical power systems, you can use these genetic algorithms, but the thing is that you need to use them with the constraints of genetic algorithm already mentioned. So, and another point also that this is the basic algorithm in the evolutionary computing techniques. So later PHC is there, bacterial foraging is there, heuristic harmony search algorithm is there. So several other algorithms are also nowadays they are available, but this is the basic algorithm. So if you observe the features of genetic algorithm, typically you can understand how evolutionary computing techniques they are coming into picture, and how to incorporate certain features which are there in the generations. So how to imbibe those things into new generations, new offsprings that we can understand very clearly using this genetic algorithm. So with this, I am concluding my lecture. So my mail ID is here. You can drop any mail to me if you have any queries. So madam, now it is open for the students for question and answer session.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for very informative session. So we have a couple of questions in the chat box window. So I will read them for you. So the first question is from Dr. Sanjeev Tyagi, sir. So he's asking that, is there any limitation of genetic algorithm?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So here, genetic algorithm, it is having highly epistatic objective function. So when parameters to be optimized are too high, and one parameter, the parameter which is to be optimized, if it is interdependent on another parameter which is to be optimized, this genetic algorithm has a limitation. So this is some number of parameters also which are to be optimized. So on those things also it is having a limitation.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So going to our next question from Nishant, sir. So he's asking which algorithm is better in terms of computational time taken, GA or GWO for the same problem?
GWO means, madam?
I don't know. Nishant, could you throw some light? GA, magnetic algorithm, and GWO. Nishant, am I audible to you? Either you can write in the chat box window or you can unmute yourself.
Gray Wolf optimizer. He said Gray Wolf optimizer. Okay. So here the thing is that you cannot say which algorithm is a better one and which one is a bad one. So we need to use these algorithms we need to apply these things to various real-time problems, and based on several parameters what we take in these algorithms, because each algorithm we are making it is having its own limitations and it is having its own, we cannot say how much time is being taken by each algorithm for each iteration. So here it is not the question of the good algorithm or bad algorithm. So how whatever problem you are taking, how to imbibe the features of these algorithms into that particular problem. So the suitability of the algorithm to that particular real-time problem, that is more important, and that gives a better solution. So even I did my research work, there I have applied about 10 to 12 algorithms to electrical power systems. So here it is not the question of the algorithm. So here it is purely dependent on the suitability of that algorithm to that particular problem. So that is more important. And another one is if that particular problem is a planning one. So for example, power system stabilizers, which are to be incorporated in the general excitation system, that is at the planning stage itself, we need to do that. So it doesn't make any sense with time. Time is not at all a constraint, because before placing that in the system, you need to look into all these aspects, and because it is at the planning stage one. So in the real-time execution one, only you need to look at the computational time that is being taken by these algorithms. So that is probably if you work, you can understand in a better manner. I had not worked on the Wolf optimization, so I'll look into that also.
Okay, sir. So next question is from one of our YouTube viewer who's watching live. So he's Andalu. So he's asking that how can we choose the CBRO MOZE length? Please explain with example.
So it is again a random one. So how what is the there is no such limitation for taking the crossover or mutation or the length of the binary string what you are considering. So there is no such limitations on that. So how accurately you want the solution or the parameter which is to be optimized, that is of more importance. So definitely the limits based on the problem what you are taking, based on the parameter which you are which is to be optimized for that particular one, that is of more importance rather than the size or the length of that particular string.
Okay, sir. So next question is from Madhu, sir. He's asking how to identify which soft computing method is suitable for a particular problem.
As I told you earlier, so it is again I am telling you what problem you are taking, and that problem you need to analyze that problem. What are the various possibilities, that are various problems that are being coming in that particular problem, and how you want to incorporate or how you want to imbibe the features of these algorithms into that particular problem. That is of more importance rather than a fixed algorithm. It cannot be used for all the problems. So that is not correct.
Okay, sir. So one more question from a YouTube viewer, Niranjan Kumar. So he's asking, is genetic algorithm only applicable to power system? Can't we apply this for other areas like power electronic drives, EVS batteries?
Yeah, definitely. So wherever the parameters, because everywhere, in every component, we have several devices, and those devices will have different parameters. Like that, so in the way in which, for example, how to assess the performance of a student based on the marks what he got in 10th class or intermediate and at +2 level at the intermediate with engineering first year, second year. So like the different parameters what we take to assess the performance of that. Similarly, in power electronics controls also, there are several parameters. So those parameters which are to be optimized. So for that, you can use any of the algorithms. But why I discussed, I had taken genetic algorithm is it is the but first evolutionary computing algorithm, basic algorithm. If you understand the concepts of this, you can easily understand either ant colony or bacterial foraging or other algorithms which are based on the population based algorithms. So definitely, if you need to look at how you need to imbibe the features of this algorithm into your problem, that is of more importance. These algorithms, they find applications in all areas almost. Not only electrical engineering, even in electronics or computer science or whatever may be the area, in all areas, these applications of these evolutionary computing techniques are there.
Okay, sir. So there is one more question, and the last question we'll take from the chat box window is from Engineer Puneet Thapar, sir. So he's asking about grasshopper algorithm. So I think he wanted to know which one is better, grasshopper algorithm or GA. Probably this is the question.
Yeah, here the question is that, my friend, so here, the genetic algorithm, it is an old algorithm. So whatever grasshopper algorithm or wolf algorithm, what he mentioned by Nishant earlier, those are the recent algorithms what we are getting. So if you are working and if you want a paper in a highly reputed journal or with a good, in a good impact factor journal, so definitely if you apply the algorithm to a new one, which is not applied by anybody till date, and if it is giving a better solution than the ones that are already existing, then definitely the chances for getting the publication will be more. So it is not the question of which algorithm is the better one. So nowadays, if you look at the recently elsewhere or these journals, science-like journals, so we are getting new algorithms for almost every week or every bi-weekly. So definitely the algorithm which is to be applied here, whether it suits to your problem or not, that is of more important rather than which algorithm is to be applied to the problem.
Okay, sir. So one last question from YouTube viewer, Kalva Venkata Srivanasa Rao. He is asking, can we apply crypt analyst on block ciphers, example Skinny 64128, etc.? He's asking, can we apply crypt analyst on block ciphers? Example,
Analyst or block ciphers.
yeah. Example Skinny 64. He's not mentioned it.
Okay, so if in the, I don't have much idea on those things, but the thing is that if there are some parameters and those parameters are varying, and what is the best value of that particular parameter for a particular given solution, for getting a solution. If such kind of problem is there, definitely any of these algorithms can be applied there also. So with the knowledge what I had on these evolutionary computing techniques, I am giving you the answer.
Okay,
So
sir.
please excuse if I am not correct. Okay. Then
Okay, sir.
those
Thank
new
you.
algorithms, what they are mentioning, even I had not heard about those things. Really.
Okay, so any MATLAB tool for genetic algorithms, sir?
Yeah, GA toolbox is already available, madam.
Okay, so,
Genetic algorithm toolbox is available.
so thank you, sir.